What is up, Heffas and friends? Welcome to another episode of Java and Journeys with Jillian. If you're new here to this channel, what's up? How are you doing? My name is Jillian, and I am getting ready to wrap up my trip here in New York, y'all. It's early in the morning, and I figure before we go to the airport, let's go ahead and get us a New York bagel. Let's get some good coffee, because what is Java and Journeys without a little bit of Java with your girl Jillian? So we're gonna head over to Liberty Bagel, try some good lox. Y'all, I love some salmon, some cream cheese on a bagel, a little bit of onion, a few capers. So I'm looking forward to trying that out. So we're gonna go to Liberty Bagel, but first, coffee. So we're gonna head over to 787 Coffee, which is one of the more top-rated coffee shops. And y'all, the sun is out. We are currently staying in the Times Square area. A lot of pros and cons to that, but I would say the biggest pro is that you're nearby a lot of great restaurants, some touristy, but there are some gems embedded in all of that. So you all know how we like to do things over here. Let's go ahead and get on this journey to 787 and Liberty Bagel. And y'all, it's so weird that this is really the last day here. I am going to fly out of LaGuardia, which, depending on, for those of you all who are visiting New York, and I'll show you the views as we're walking and talking over to 787. But depending on where you're staying in New York, you have to be very cognizant of the airport that you are flying in and out of, right? So because of my current location, I would highly recommend looking at LaGuardia, looking at Newark. I would only choose JFK depending on the neighborhood. So if you're coming to the city core, I would probably avoid JFK because it's a lot further of a distance than Newark or LaGuardia. And y'all, New York is truly the city that never sleeps. But fortunately, the hotel that we stayed in, it was pretty good about the noise. But y'all, there's just certain noises that it doesn't matter the hotel. Like those ambulances are so loud. And it's just something that you kind of learn to live with. But I hope you all are having a great start to your day wherever you're at in the world, and that you enjoy our last views of New York while we're still here. So I'm gonna cue that B-roll as we're walking over to 787 Coffee. friends, we just made it over to 787 Coffee. Let's go ahead, get in and get our iced coffee and make it over to Liberty Bagel Company because we do not have a lot of time. And y'all, let me tell you, the city blocks in New York are long. So even if you think, oh, this is only like a quick little walk, what Google Maps or Apple Maps or any other map technology that you use doesn't tell you is just how long these stretches are. So it's a good walk, but y'all, you see my forehead is glistening right now. So let's get us some coffee to cool us off. Friends, I have just placed my coffee order and I, by the recommendation of the barista, got the dulce de leche latte with a rum infused coffee bean. And y'all, all of their coffee beans here at 787 are imported from Puerto Rico. So it's fresh. They work exclusively with this farm, and the barista was telling me that the farmers who own the land will actually let folks go pick their coffee beans. So I think that is quite special, and I cannot wait to get some of this delicious coffee. And while we're waiting, check out the vibe and the ambiance. Shout out to Pac-Man. But this is just such a cool spot. And you can see some of the coffees here. And you all see that this one's whiskey infused. The one that we got is rum infused. And I love me some rum. And then here is some of the merch. Lost socks, all coffee theme is so cute. We just got our coffee and y'all, this looks so cool. And I promise you, it's rum infused. There's no hard alcohol in this. Y'all, check this out. And now that I remember, one of my colleagues had actually gotten this coffee, and I remember looking at it, I was like, girl, what coffee is that? And she spoke so highly, and I didn't realize that this is the place that I'm actually ended up at, so I'll have to text her and tell her. But y'all, this is so cool. And let's get a closer up look so that way you can see. But here is the front. Caffeinated human of NYC, and that is what I'm going to be as soon as I finish drinking this. This looks so delightful. And before we make our way over to Liberty Bagel Company, y'all, cheers. Thank you for joining me on another caffeinated adventure. Y'all, this is flipping fantastic. This is so good. And let me tell you all, like, you taste the rum flavors. I feel like I am in Puerto Rico, like right now, enjoying myself, sipping my coffee on the beach. This is so good. And what I appreciate about it is that you have that rum flavor. You have the dulce de leche. It's not overly sweet at all. Like, I don't sip this and I think, oh my gosh, like, I can't drink this because it's absolutely too sweet. That's not the case at all. This is fantastic, and this is definitely going to give us the boost that we need as we make our way over to Liberty Bagel and then head back to our hotel to get over to LaGuardia. So one last look as we enjoy our coffee, and shout out to Jay. Y'all, I couldn't help myself. I went ahead and purchased some of the coffee beans because when I tell you this coffee is so delicious, I'm not even capping. I was telling the barista that what I notice oftentimes with certain coffees that are like, oh, this is like whiskey barrel infused, this is, you know, X flavor, that sometimes some coffee flavors are very I don't know, sometimes like artificial tasting, you don't really taste the flavor at all. Y'all, this, I can't. I simply can't. Like, this is so good. And I'm not even, I have no problem being honest with you all. I could see why 787 is one of the top rated coffee shops here, because it is so good. So what we're gonna do now that we have our caffeinated boost, head over to grab our bagel, and then we are going to make a beeline back to the hotel, because y'all, this walk took me a little bit longer than what I thought. It was well worth the walk. Now I can burn off some of the calories of the dulce de leche, but I'm like, ooh, I am cutting it close, but luckily I'm mostly packed and I didn't overpack for this trip, so that's good. So it's not gonna take me too long to get back to the hotel, finish throwing the last few items that I have. I didn't wanna wake up my sister and disturb her. So yeah, I will check back in with you all. I'll continue to give you some views, but y'all, we're gonna just stay focused on getting to our destination so that way we are set up for our flight. Friends, we have just made it over to Liberty Bagels, which is right over across the way. And y'all, we are on a time crunch, so we're gonna go ahead and go in and get our bagel on. So y'all, I got the Nova Classic Lox and Bagel, and I also ordered the Rainbow Bagel just to try that out probably sometime tomorrow for breakfast. So I am currently just waiting for my order to be called, and as soon as I get it, we're going to head back to the hotel, and I'll be trying the bagel hopefully during my flight while I'm doing a little bit of work, because the business stops for no one. Friends, this is mission accomplished. We have our coffee, we have our bagel from Liberty Bagel Company. I'll see if I can catch you when we get to LaGuardia. So stay tuned, keep hanging in there with me. And have you liked, subscribed, and shared? If you haven't, girl, what are you doing? You see me hustling in these New York streets. All for you, honey. So support your girl, so that way she can continue to take you on her caffeinated adventures. All right, y'all, I'll catch you at LaGuardia. Friends, we have made it over to LaGuardia, and before I catch my Delta flight, I am just going to hang out at the Delta Lounge, and I can give you all a quick tour of what this looks like, because I don't actually think I've ever taken you all to the lounges with me. Move my mic a little bit. So let's just take a very quick look around. So once you scan in and you come up the stairs, there is a ton of seating all around that you'll see. So you just have to kind of pick a spot, and it extends all the way down that area. which I actually have not walked down that way. So let's take a quick look. You'll see our Delta flights over in the background. And y'all, we're gonna work our way back up. We're just gonna look at the very back corner here. View of all the Delta planes, which is pretty awesome. And what I like about this particular Delta lounge is that there is a ton of seating. And y'all, always, especially if you have an Amex card, or even specifically a Delta card, which is also Amex, always check back because oftentimes the policies change. I didn't even see this, y'all. So they have this really nice outdoor seating area. So let's go take a look and see what that is giving. Okay, so it's indoor, but it gives you that like nice outdoor feel. So this is absolutely gorgeous. We'll take a step down. I had no idea this was even back here. But you have these beautiful tables, this kind of like open seating area. And then we have our planes in the distance. And this is actually quite airy and beautiful back here. I'm rethinking, I'm like, should I grab my things and come back here? It feels quite peaceful and nice. But working our way back up, you have a bunch of bar seating right here. And then you have like a coffee station and beverage area, which is nice. And I have actually not seen this before at a Delta lounge, but the fact that they give you these syrups that you can utilize, of course you have your teas here. And then you have another station. So this is actually really cool, y'all. They are really trying to keep you well caffeinated. And given that this is Java and Journeys, why wouldn't we like that? We have bathrooms over off in this direction. And as we keep walking back, we have the buffet area over this way. And here you have like your bagels, your toast, some oatmeal, and then you wrap all the way around. You have some vegetables, bacon, pancakes, toppings for your eggs. And so that's pretty much the only food station that I see back here. And you still have a lot of seating all the way over in the back, a showcase of a lot of wines and champagne that you can get. But you have this area, which feels very quiet as well. So a ton of seating. And sometimes with a lot of Delta lounges that I've noticed, depending on the airport you fly into, the Delta lounges can be a lot smaller than this. So it's really nice that this is very open, very airy, very spacious, and you don't feel like you have to sit on top of other people. So that is a pro tip that I have for those of you all that travel and you have the Amex card and you have the benefit to be able to utilize the lounges. For hubs, like Delta hubs, typically what I have found is that they have bigger lounges. Like for example, Atlanta, they have multiple Delta lounges and their lounges are also quite nice. But always take a look back, because what ends up happening is that a lot of people walk in and, you know, oftentimes we're in a rush, right? So you're trying to eat really quick, but you typically try to grab the first seats that you see. But the real treat is sometimes if you keep walking all the way back, it thins out quite a bit, which is really nice. Yeah. Thank you. The kid was asking about me too. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. But yeah, so always take like a step back and check out and see, because you'll find like some hidden pockets, which is really cool. So So yeah, there's your little treat. So for those of you all that find yourselves flying through LaGuardia, you're flying Delta, you have your Amex card, check out the Sky Lounge here. Now, y'all, I am not actually going to be getting any food. Why? Because we are going to actually take a bite of our bagel. I'm going to show you all our donuts from dough, which if you happen to miss my last video, check that out. Because you get a chance to see our adventure going over to dough. So I want to try all that now that we're in this environment, and that way I don't have to try to be in such a confined space on the plane trying to show you all and talk through how things taste. So I'm quite excited because I wasn't sure if I would get here with enough time to be able to connect with you all somewhere in the airport. I didn't even also realize that there was a Sky Lounge here. So like, we're checking off all the boxes. We're here with some time to spare. Let's get into the food. Now, this is my bougie on the budget bag, but typically when I'm flying Delta or if I'm using the Amex Lounge, oftentimes I will either grab like a Bailey's or just like a simple glass of sparkling. Because y'all, for me, I like to live in a fantasy. It makes me feel just a little special, and I'll just get whatever is the house sparkling. So it's nothing fancy, but it makes me feel fancy. So before we get into our food, cheers. Thank you again for joining me on my adventures here in New York. No, it's fine. It does the job. It's not like, oh my gosh, this is the house sparkling. So it's not even champagne. So it's all right. It's fine. It's okay. I didn't have to pay for it. I'm happy with it, and like I said, it makes me feel a little bit bougie. Let's try some of our food. What do we want to start with? Let's go ahead and do the donuts first, and then we'll look at the bagels that we got from Liberty Bagel. So on our way to dough, we purchased 2 donuts. One was a cafe au lait donut. I've never had a coffee flavored donut, so I'm super intrigued. And then we got something on the fruitier side. We got our floral hibiscus donut, y'all. Now, my cafe au lait donut is holding up very well. My hibiscus donut looks like it's been through some trauma. So check this out. It's because it's gotten shaken up a little bit in my bag, but it still has that nice shiny glaze. And then you have your cafe au lait donut here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and try these out. You can tell this is not like your traditional, I guess, like flour dough for those of you all that are into pastry and you make donuts. I think the dough inside the donuts from dough look quite interesting. It almost looks a little bit layered, but I think it's just how I scooped out the donut. Now, y'all, if I were at home and I was chowing down, I would of course use my hands, but I don't want to get them all sticky. So I got my fork here, but you can see like this donut, and I don't think that this looks super dense. And I'll show you all too, like how this looks from this angle. But I'm not sure what kind of dough that they're using, but this is something that looks quite different. So let's try this out. That is delicious. The flavor, it reminds me of like a donut hole. The way that dough tastes, it's not super fluffy. It's a bit more dense, but great flavor. It tastes a bit more cakey than like some donuts that are very airy. This is a hearty donut. And I say that to say that you can easily like cut this in half or cut it in sections and just kind of work your way through it because it is so hearty. One of my colleagues, I think I mentioned this in one of my other videos when I purchased this donut, she was like, oh my gosh, dough is so good. Have you been there before? And I was like, I literally just like walked by it. I thought the donuts looked interesting. I knew nothing about it, didn't do any research. I just popped on in. And she was like, you are in for a treat. I can totally see why she says that. And the hibiscus flavor is so nice. It's not overly sweet. It's a great like compliment to the donut. So y'all, that one is definitely a plus. Now, since our cafe au lait donut doesn't look like it's going to be as sticky, I think I can just pick that one up. So here we go. Here are little crumbles on top, and we'll see what this is giving. Now, y'all, typically with cafe au lait, that's just simply a drip coffee with steamed milk. So we'll see how much of a coffee flavor and taste we get in our cafe au lait donut. Again, great flavor. I don't know that I get coffee from that. If I'm not knowing what flavor this is, just bit into it, it almost just tastes like a glazed donut, but like brown sugar instead of like a traditional icing. Really good, but if you're looking for something that has like that pungent coffee taste, this doesn't. So the flavor's still there, the cakiness is still there. Honestly, I could have just gotten the hibiscus donut and been just fine. I don't regret getting both, but that flour taste, I shouldn't say flour taste, the flavor of the dough really carries this through. And I think like the flavors, it's just like a nice little compliment. And the flavors, it's like you take that bite, you get that initial punch, and then it fades away. So honestly, I feel like with dough, you can just get one of these donuts and enjoy it. Unless you love eating a lot of donuts and like you do you. Now, if I compare it to my Portland donut adventures, I still think Blue Star are the best donuts I've had. And not that I'm a donut connoisseur, but of the donuts I've been able to enjoy, I still think Blue Star is king, but dough is delicious. If I had to pick between dough and Voodoo Donuts, I probably would pick dough second, Voodoo third. And that's like no shade to Voodoo. Voodoo's good, but Voodoo also gets stale very easily. So it'll be interesting to see if these get stale very fast, because I'm hoping to keep these for, you know, a few more days and share some with my co-producer and my sister if she wants to try some. But to me, the flavors are here. With Voodoo Donuts, my opinion of Voodoo is that they're just fun donuts. And yes, they have some great flavors that I like, but they're just fun to eat. Whereas if you want a bougie donut that really carries not just like, I should say that's not like necessarily like fun to eat, but is super delicious, I would recommend go to dough, go to Blue Star. And if y'all have any other donut recommendations, especially any in the Orlando area, let me know. Now let's get to our bagels. So I won't be eating the rainbow bagel. I'm going to save that for later, but I wanted to show you all what that looks like, and then as well my Nova Lox bagel sandwiches. So here is the rainbow bagel, and y'all, it doesn't feel hard, it doesn't feel stale, and I asked them not to toast it or anything, just leave it plain. But this looks like a lot of fun. And y'all, rainbow bagels don't necessarily have like a distinct flavor. They're just like really pretty to look at. And since they were like, we're home with a rainbow bagel, I was like, well, why not try it? But it doesn't look gray because, you know, sometimes if you try to combine colors and dough, it starts to look gray after a while. So I am looking forward to eating this at some point soon before it does get stale. And then the real star of the show are our lox. Look at that fresh cream cheese. We have our salmon. We have some onion. I got it without capers, but typically for your bagel and lox, it will come with capers, tomato, red onion, and cream cheese. So it pretty much has all of that with the exception of the capers. And I got this on an everything bagel. To give you a bit of a close-up look, here's our bagel here. And I love everything bagels, especially with that garlic. So let's try this out. Oh, who they use to source their tomatoes, those tomatoes are fantastic. Our tomatoes in season right now, those are delicious. I love everything bagel where you get your like different kinds of seeds, your poppy seed, your sesame seed, your garlic. The only thing I'm missing is just a little bit of like hot sauce. But that cream cheese tastes fresh. It's creamy. My Nova lox don't taste fishy. Everything is so good, y'all. And here's like post bite. If you find yourself in New York, I cannot claim that Liberty Bagel is the best bagel because I know bagels are a sensitive topic, especially amongst those that are more of a connoisseur and have gone to different places like Montreal, where Montreal's known for their bagels, New York, Boston, really up and down the Northeast going into Canada. So what I will say is that this is a delicious bagel, and if you want a delicious bagel, head over to Liberty Bagel. And while you're in New York, check out other companies. This one had high reviews. I also passed by a few other bagel shops on the way to this one. So I think what you'll see in New York anytime you're visiting is that super prominent when it comes to coffee and when it comes to bagels. So y'all, look at the time. I have about 20 minutes before I need to start heading toward my gate for boarding. So I'm going to enjoy part of this bagel sandwich. I'm going to enjoy my sparkling wine, and I'll see you on the flight back home. Friends, we have made it on the flight, and I typically, depending on the length of the flight, every once in a while, sometimes I may be lucky enough to get first class, depending on how much the upgrade costs, because girl, there are certain upgrades where I'm like, I am not paying all that money just to be on the plane for a few hours. So it depends on the length of the flight. But what I typically 9 times out of 10, again, depending on the cost, will try to do is upgrade to Delta Comfort. So I have a lot of leg space, and you all saw, and I'll give you another look here before any of my seatmates show up, of what the Delta Comfort seating looks like. So you have a little bit more cushion at the back. And then, of course, you have the extra leg room here, which I value a lot. So, y'all, as soon as I got to my seat, you already know how I roll. I was like sanitizing everything because I did actually see a couple of spots. So again, y'all, bring your wipes, especially on the plane. And even if it's a rush, or let's just say you're on a row where you have like a window seat and maybe your seatmates are already sitting down and you have to be quick, that can get tricky, but even if you have to immediately get seated, go ahead, wipe down at the very least your armrest, the tray table in front of you, and then even like the wall area where your windows are. You want to do that because, again, you're just trying to keep your environment clean. So I would highly recommend that because, like I said, I saw some stains, even like a little bit toward the edge of my chair that I was like, thankfully I have my wipes. And because my seatmates aren't here, I actually had a little bit more space, to clean and wipe everything down. So I'm thankful for that I'm sanitized, I'm buckled in, I'm good to go. So y'all, with that being said, thank you so much for joining me on my New York adventure. Y'all, this has been such an interesting year, and especially I would say like having this kind of travel, because typically I don't travel like this. And while I travel a little bit more within the US than I do internationally, I certainly have aspirations and dreams. It's just so expensive, right? And in this economy, it's like, girl, so that's why you need to like, subscribe, and share as we continue our goal for 15,000 subscribers. And for those of y'all who are already subscribed, for those of you who already liked, thank you so much. Y'all, I am so tired. It's been a long morning, though we're just getting around lunchtime. I appreciate you all for all of your support, for hanging with me. Drop down in the comments, engage with me, tell me what you like best about the New York trip. Are you a bagel person? If you love bagels, what typically are your favorite bagels? And then of course, if there are any spots in New York or especially in Orlando that you recommend I check out, you can holla at me. With that being said, y'all, I appreciate you joining me on this caffeinated adventure, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya, bye.